Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to an episode of Voice in the Middle. And today I want to talk about a topic which I'm probably going to get a lot of flack on both sides, and that's COVID. And it's COVID specifically here in Arizona. Because if you've seen the trend in Arizona lately, our cases have gotten really, really high. And if you want to see previous videos about it, I will try to put a link up above in order for you to see that. And you can go back to kind of see what I think about cases in general and what numbers we should be looking at, and at what point do we become concerned. And based on that video I put out previously, I would say we're definitely in an orange zone right now. Our bed capacity is within 8% of capacity. We're 100% in certain hospitals. And we were down to 7 though, so we've increased capacity by 1%, but we're really close. And one of the main reasons we always had these lockdowns to begin with, when the lockdowns first happened, was to ensure that hospitals would not become overwhelmed, right? And since then, there's been a change in the narrative and a change in the story that it was to prevent anyone from getting COVID. It was to prevent all deaths. And that wasn't the reasoning. We weren't going to ever prevent COVID from spreading. What we were trying to do was mitigate the spread of COVID so it didn't overwhelm our hospitals. So that if you were having a heart attack, you'd be able to get into the emergency room and a doctor could see you. So that if you had to have very serious surgery, there was going to be a bed available for you in the ICU so a doctor could see you, right? That was the entire reason for shutdowns. That was the entire reason for mitigating the spread of COVID-19. And at a certain point, the narrative changed, right? As it became, we've got to make sure we're always below this threshold. We've got to make sure that we only have a certain percentage of people that are getting COVID. And it always has been dependent on beds available within the hospitals. And since our peak post Christmas, post Thanksgiving, the reality is we've stayed pretty steady at about anywhere from 7 to 10% of capacity. We haven't dropped below that. Even with huge influx in cases, we haven't dropped below that. So why today? Why am I making this video today? Well, it's because Arizona had reported 395 deaths, I believe it was today, and I'm going to guess that's our highest single day total ever. I'm going to guess a lot of these reports are delayed, possibly from the weekend or Monday. I'd be very surprised if we actually had 395 deaths in the last 24 hours, but it's possible. But either way, that number is going to cause issues. It's going to cause concerns. People are going to be blaming the governor. People are going to be blaming non-mask wearers. People are going to be blaming a lack of a shutdown and saying these deaths could have been prevented. And I sympathize with that side of the argument. There's a Reddit thread that I follow, and I don't post on it. I like to follow it, and I like to hear other people's perspectives and their point of view, right? Because I have been very much pro, we mitigate the spread, maintain social distancing, go and wear the masks, do what we can to try to keep our neighbors safe so the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. But I've been very much in support of the side that, I'm glad we're not shut down completely. And the truth is, there's a lot of people that don't believe that we should even be shut down partially. They believe that we should be allowing restaurants to operate at full capacity. There's a huge movement going on saying that a lot of this is being made up, that the numbers are being made up. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you can prove to me the numbers are being made up, this changes this conversation completely. It changes this dynamic. But right now, the only numbers we can really rely upon are the numbers being given to us by Arizona Department of Human Services, Health and Human Services. Those are the only numbers we really have. So, like I said, if you can prove to me that we're not at 7% capacity, our beds available is a lot higher than that, then I'd be more on board to say we shouldn't be shut down whatsoever. But those are the numbers we have to rely on. So with respect to that side of the crowd, if that side of the crowd watches this video, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Prove it to me. I want you to prove it to me. I'm not going to just take, well, the government lies to us, the media lies to us, because yes, they do lie to us about some things. They also tell the truth about some things. So prove it to me. So on to the death total today. When I saw that number, I took pause because I wondered, I had to say, is there validity in saying we should maybe be shut down? And then I really started thinking about it, and I started wondering how many of those deaths were because of people not following procedures, or how many of those deaths were because people made a choice to go and live their lives. And I think we're forgetting that in this entire narrative, that there is a choice to be made. There's a choice to be had, right? If someone that's elderly chooses to go to a restaurant, they're making that choice. If someone chooses to go and visit their family that's maybe sick at COVID in the home, they're making that choice. And that's a choice as human beings we should be allowed to have. Government should never dictate to us our freedoms that we have in regards to this. We should always have that choice. I understand being able to turn around and say, in order to operate a business, you have to follow under certain parameters. We do that with health inspectors, with restaurants, right? Is you have to make sure that your restaurant is held to a certain level and a certain standard in order to be able to operate. And I think universally we would say all of us are okay with that. But where it starts pushing a line is when you now start telling individuals what they can and cannot do. You can go to Target, but you can't go to a restaurant, right? You can go to a park outdoors, but you can't go to church, right? It's when government starts forcing you into certain directions, that's when I have an issue with it. And we're also taking away the fact that people may just be choosing to put themselves in a position to where maybe they get COVID. My family and we have been fairly, I would say, cautious with what we do in public. I will go to restaurants every once in a while. I go to a movie theater usually once a week, at least try to get myself out of the apartment, have a little bit of normalcy, pre-COVID, support my local business, support the people that are working there. But we haven't really gone to any of the indoor playground places that we used to always take, our foster placements. We haven't gone to some of the businesses that we really enjoy. And it's because we believe in those scenarios, the risk outweighs the reward. My wife's a teacher, and so if she comes down with COVID or anything, that impacts not just our family, but all of her students as well. Because being a special ed teacher, you can't find just a substitute for special ed the same you can general ed. So we have to make those decisions, and we make those choices. And people going out and about, people that are contracting COVID, that are dying of COVID, there seems to be this automatic assumption from the side that believes we should be locked down completely that this wasn't because of their own choice. This was because of people failing to wear masks. This was because of people failing to social distance. Well, maybe they were the ones that did that. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe they thought it was more important to go out and socialize and be around people than it was to stay at home. Maybe they thought in those cases the risk was worth the reward, that the risk was worth having human contact. We are social beings, and we have to remember that. We are designed to have human contact and human touch. It's in our DNA. And the longer that we prevent that from happening, the more profoundly that has other adverse effects on us. COVID has never been a black and white issue. It's always been an issue in the gray. It's always been an issue to where there is no perfect scenario or perfect solution. If you don't do anything to mitigate the damage whatsoever, our hospitals become overrun, and now people that could maybe possibly normally receive care aren't able to, and they suffer because of that. You shut down businesses completely in order to completely halt the spread of COVID. And then that turns into people not being able to work and being out of a job and not being able to support themselves and their family. That leads to depression and other social and emotional issues. There never was a perfect scenario in all this. There is always a trade-off, but it always comes to risk versus reward. So before everyone starts pushing at this number of 385 deaths today, which I empathetically am sorry for anyone that lost a family member. How did that family member get it? Was it their own choice to go outside and enjoy life? Or did they somehow completely contract it because of other people negating social protocols? The reality is, every time we go outside our house, every time we go outside our apartment, we put ourselves at risk, and we're doing that knowingly. And all we can do is look out for ourselves. We can make the best choices for us. There's lots of alternatives if you're that worried about contracting COVID. For groceries, you can do grocery pickup or delivery. For food, you can deliver food to be dropped off at your front door without you even opening the door to take it directly from that person. You can live your life completely isolated in a bubble if you want to. But the reality is, our beds haven't operated at full capacity. We haven't hit that point. We've gotten close, and it's something we should keep an eye on. But now that the Christmas spike is over, my guess is numbers are going to starting to die down a little bit. So as you look at these numbers, as you start screaming at other people for not doing what you think they should be doing, understand we all have a choice in this. And you can choose to stay inside your house isolated if you want to, and I'm not going to judge you for that. But also don't judge the people that decide that human touch is more valuable and is worth the risk of contracting COVID just because you don't think they should be making that choice either. You don't get to force your beliefs on other people the same as they don't get to force their beliefs on you. That's the beauty about America, and that's the beauty about respect. And that's what we need to be looking for, and that's what we need to be striving for. Anyway, thank you for this episode of Voice in the Middle. If you like what I had to say here today, please like and subscribe, share, check out my previous videos. A lot of them I have not been able to really, I've still been making at times, but I can't promote because of a general lockdown on political posts, and I deal with a lot of political topics as well. But anyway, I hope you all have a great day today. Stay safe. God bless. I love you. Take care.